So for this hunt, we're hunting archery elk, September, full rut, eastern Idaho, with the entire crew from Hunting Fool as their guest, actually. It was a Hunting Fool sponsored hunt that asked us to come over. Yeah, it was super neat to be able to go back and hunt in this area. I killed my very first bull with my grandfather just over the mountain from where we were at. And so, you know, the terrain and just being back there, it was very, I guess, reminiscent of that initial hunt with my grandfather when I was a young boy on horseback hunting. Hunting in September is a super special time of year because you're just intermixed with these rutting elk, and they're so vocal and active, and there's a lot of elk. Every day you're in them. This hunt's actually really difficult. Even though there's a ton of elk, that's also a disadvantage because you now have, so many sets of eyes and ears and noses. All those cows are all centuries for the bull, who primarily doesn't, care about anything but breeding. But it's super tough to actually get in, get close, and close the deal just because there's so many elk that are out there. And you always have to have favorable wind, any sound. Sometimes you find yourself in a frozen position for, seems like hours, but minutes and minutes as they've got you pinned down. There's an enormous amount of physical activity, specifically hunting at this place because the way that they manage it, they don't want to take any motorized vehicles onto the private land. You're also hunting some public land, but you're running around basically on foot. And many times you're at a full sprint, for lack of better terms, up and down to try to get in front of them and play the wind. Overall, extremely physical hunt, really dynamic, and always running and gunning. The hunt usually has a couple hours in the morning where it's really good, and then a couple hours just before dark, maybe an hour and a half before dark. So you have this large gap in the middle that you have to decide what you're going to do. Are you going to go back to camp and take a nap, or are you going to stay out in the field? Well, we decided to stay out in the field and just take our chances with regards to some activity during the day, and we happened to find a really fabulous wallow/watering hole. There's a ton of random activity that otherwise, you'd never see. Had we just picked a place and stayed there, who knows what would have happened, but that was a real strategic location. Got to see some really neat, activity with some elk coming in and out, just watering and wallowing, and wait for that evening hunt to pick up. Once they go in those trees, you don't know where they're at. And then they come out, whatever they come out, right? And there's about 360 different angles they can come out from. The big bull that we were on, he was just right outside the zone, 100 yards in encounter 1, 100 yards in encounter 2, 135 yards in encounter 3 as we're trying to maneuver around and get in front of him and get lucky. But, when there's 50 to 75 cows, that is just really tough. It's super tough. You start to get more aggressive as you come up on the end of your hunt, and you start to take some chances that you may not take early on in the hunt as you start to feel the pressure of coming back to everyday life and your family and the things you've got to do. So, going Comanche style and trying to sneak in and keep the wind favorable and actually sneak in while they're in their beds with all those cows, I think it's a pretty ballsy move, but it can work out. Unfortunately for me, I wasn't able to close the deal on that massive stalk that took 4 hours. It was just a matter of, some cover between me and the bull. I was 40 yards from him. And you kind of have this deflating moment, like you're just that close and you got past this set of cows and this set of cows, and it's like playing cat and mouse. But, I think that once you start to get to the end of the hunt and you can feel that time approaching, you become a little bit more aggressive. And that's what that was all about. This day we're in deep, dark timber. And it's like sidewalks in there for the majority of the terrain, so you're able to really move along super quiet. And as long as you have favorable wind, you're gonna be in good shape. You also can see further, right? And so that gives you a huge advantage versus down in those Quakies and all the brush, and you can only see, 20, 30 yards. So I think the dark timber is actually a more preferable environment to do that type of hunting that we were doing. Quite frankly, as we came up on the bull, I was able to see the top of his horns. 25-yard top pin shot, that's what everybody hopes for, right?
Got him, bro.
And so it was exciting to be able to pull it off, and it was a last day deal, and we got it done. Right there.
September 23rd, Eastern Idaho, peak of the rut, in Huntin' Fool's camp as a guest. The Kryptek guys came over and we're hunting. I'm hunting today with Robert Hanneman, one of my good buddies that actually does some planning for my family. We were just creeping along, taking our time, sneaking, and probably about 25 yards. Didn't have a whole lot of time to size him up, but he gave us an opportunity and we took it. So close quarters, dark timber bull.
It's nice when they're top pin.
Yeah, top pin. Don't have to think about it. Don't have to range.
Where we've been, most of these bulls, there's so many cows, they're not coming to a cow call. So you're ambushing them, you're cutting them off, you're getting in front of them. Like I said, a cow call will stop them, but the bull to cow ratio is there's so many cows, it's hard to pull a bull away from herd.
Yeah.
I'm super excited because he's above the road and it's downhill.
I know, right? It's going to be one of the easiest pack outs ever.
We're not going to have to kill ourselves in this one, so.
Yeah, I've never had an easier pack out in my life, and it was pretty neat to see everybody kind of pour off the hill and get down to where we're at and be a part of processing the bull on the side of the mountain, breaking it down, and then everybody grabbed a quarter and marched off. And it was a neat experience. I think that normally you don't get that celebration and that interaction until you're back in camp, but that actually happened on the side of the mountain. We were able to get some great pictures, and it was a lot of fun, laughing and joking, and ultimately it was really super cool to have everybody kind of come in after I had taken that bull. And super thankful for the invite from Huntin' Fool magazine and services. Big thanks to John Makoff for opening up his ranch. He's done a fabulous job managing that. That's why they have the density of elk that they have there. It's interlaced with some public land, and we were hunting on both. But overall, the way that John has put that place together, it's quite a conservation statement, and it was a fantastic experience. As hunters, we actually put ourselves out there in the middle of these animals, and we have so much admiration for them. We're watching their behaviors. You get to see them interact with the other elk, with their environment. You become, very close, and almost to the point to where you can identify and recognize a bull by how they sound and the raspiness of their call or the squeakiness of their call. And I think that it really is part of the hunting experience, is that we care about this culture so much that we wrap ourselves into it, and that's the reason why we want it to be here for generations and generations, for our grandchildren to be able to go and experience the same excitement and passion and love, really, that we have for these elk.